Ray tracing, much like teraflop, is a word that's been used to hype up the promise of a new generation. And like every generation, there's the expectation and then the reality. The developer of Gran Turismo has stated that the new game will not feature ray tracing, but rather it will feature it in the replay mode and in the Vista mode, which is essentially a glorified screenshot viewing mode. Also, the game's director has stated that the decision to go cross-gen with a PS4 title was made after they realized that no difference in quality would have to be made between both versions of the game. Personally, I feel like the maximum theoretical limit of the PlayStation 4 is the minimum to mid theoretical limit of the PlayStation 5, so there's much more overhead to be used if you were making a PlayStation 5 only specific title. However, I think there's something to be said for genre-specific titles and reaching a point of diminished return once you fine-tune those specific genres. So clearly, I think the game would look better if ray tracing was included in the game while you're playing it. But of course, there are more important things to this specific style of game, like physics, like the handling of the cars and the frame rate. So in this case, the developer was faced with a choice. Do we include a graphical effect that makes the game look prettier, or do we compromise and include physics, AI, and handling that make the game feel more realistic? And clearly for this specific genre, I think they made the right choice. As to whether or not PS4, PS5 cross-gen development held back the PlayStation 5 version of the game, I would have to point to Ratchet & Clank Rift Apart. This is an incredibly vast game with tons of on-screen animations, highly detailed character models, and just a ton going on in the world, and they offered a 4K 30 mode with ray tracing and a 4K 60 mode without ray tracing. So again, I think developing solely for the PlayStation 5 allowed the engine to flex a bit more than it would have if it had to scale up from the PlayStation 4. Again, the idea being the theoretical high top end of the PlayStation 4 is the theoretical low to mid end of the PlayStation 5. Ultimately, though, I still think it comes down to the platform-specific game and what it is trying to accomplish. And in Gran Turismo's case, it's a driving simulator, so the simulation of driving, the physics and the mechanics of each car is much more important than a graphical effect like ray tracing. Of course, in a perfect world, all of these graphical effects would be able to be added into the game on the PlayStation 5. But again, if the developer has to choose and make the game more realistic, focusing in on what their vision is for the title, I'd rather have them use the power of the system to do that than compromise and give me a little bit prettier picture while I'm playing the game. So what do you think? Do you think the decision to go cross-gen with Gran Turismo held back the PlayStation 5 version of the game? Or do you think it's a platform and a genre-specific issue where they're utilizing the extra development time to make the game more realistic when it comes to the simulation of actually driving real cars on a real track? The new PlayStation 5 has been released, and after extensive testing, we now know that the new console runs 11 degrees Celsius cooler than the original PlayStation 5. Every generation, consoles are always over-engineered, and then when they release and actual real-world use data comes back, the platform holders and manufacturers are able to tweak the systems, increasing or decreasing in certain areas, increasing or decreasing costs. In this case, Sony realized that decreasing the amount of copper being used in the heatsink would have no adverse effect on the performance of the PlayStation 5, thus reducing the cost of manufacturing for that system. Another great example of this is Microsoft and the Xbox One actually increased the clock speeds of the CPU once they realized that they had over-engineered their cooling solution and they can squeeze a bit more performance out of the system without worrying about overheating. So this is great news. Anything that helps with production, anything that helps with getting more systems out into the wild so that consumers can purchase them. Let me know what you think about this new PS5 revision. It almost feels like by the time people can walk into a store and actually see PlayStation 5s on the shelves, we'll have a PS5 Slim. That's going to be it for the video. Thanks for watching. Think about sharing it out on your favorite social media platform of choice. Maybe subscribe to the channel. At the very least, hit the like button. It would help me grow the channel. And I'll see you in the next video.